He'd gone directly out on patrol from his Soho apartment, but hadn't realized he'd forgotten to check the weather report until he was halfway to Greenwich Village. And he couldn't call Mary Jane to do it for him, since, as usual these days, his lovely wife was out rehearsing for her latest off-Broadway play.
Why couldn't Spider Sense come with a long-range forecast? Scattered showers this evening with a 30% chance of scorpion. Tomorrow, a hail of 38 caliber bullets is expected. And now, here's Joey with sports.
Okay, so he was talking to himself. It was a habit he indulged in when he got nervous. He talked to himself quite a bit. He tried to pick up the pace toward home, veering east to soar over Madison Square Garden and continue diagonally across the next few blocks toward Broadway, planning to follow it in the Bowery toward home. But halfway between 7th and 8th, he felt a faint, familiar tingle. The rainfall interfered with his arachnid senses as well as his normal ones, but not yet enough to obscure a twinge this strong. He tasted it like a connoisseur, sharp, angry, but removed. An act of human violence a couple of blocks away, not aimed directly at him. Not yet, anyway.
That's back north, toward Herald Square.
From the way the tingle intensified as he swung, he could home in on the incident better than he could from the sounds alone. As he reached Broadway, he spotted his quarry. A gang of thieves was running out of Macy's, heading for a getaway van, while a wobbly security guard tried to get a bead on them with his pistol. The guard's other hand was clutching his upper right arm, its sleeve stained red. A minor injury, little more than a graze if he could still hold his gun. No one had died, yet. But this was a crowded intersection, and the guard's aim was shaky. New York's finest were trained not to fire their weapons in a crowd, but would this rent-a-cop have as much sense? Spidey couldn't risk it. Landing on the green metal awning over the front doors, he raised the hem of his tunic to expose his utility belt and triggered the spider signal. His admittedly pretentious name for what was essentially a cheap belt-buckle flashlight with a spider mask transparency over its lens, aiming it at the thieves. But nothing happened.
Great. The batteries are dead.
He couldn't waste any more time. Leaping to perch above a window in front of the guard, he pressed his two middle fingers down on the web trigger, releasing a thick bluey stream that clogged the guard's gun barrel.
Don't shoot! Too many people around! Let me handle them!
No way! You're probably with them!
Well, what do you know? Another satisfied subscriber to the Daily Bugle.
The guard was pulling at the web glob on his gun, trying to get it free. Just to keep him from accidentally pulling the trigger and blowing his hand off with a backfire, Spidey shot out a thin strand to snag the gun and yanked it away. Now the bad guy's van was racing out into Broadway traffic, so Spidey set off in pursuit. But now the sky had really opened up. His original webbing formula wouldn't have solidified in heavy rainfall, but he'd long ago licked that problem. He fired a strand of webbing to snag the getaway van, but it was pummeled to the ground by the torrent of rain before it could reach the van.
Okay, looks like I'm on foot.
Fortunately, super strength meant super speed as well. Not in Quicksilver's league, but more than enough to catch up with a van in Manhattan traffic during a downpour. Especially since he could leap from roof to roof across the cars.
Watch it, you freak! Hey! What are you doing, you
The lullaby of Broadway.
Finally, he landed atop the getaway van as it tore through Koreatown. Pulling open the rear doors, he ducked his head down to see what he was facing. After years of experience, the fact that he was seeing it upside down was no impediment, but the raindrops drenching his mask lenses were another matter. Everything was a marbled blur of movement.
It's the bug! Waste him!
Luckily, there were no raindrops between him and the occupants of the van, so his spider sense was able to warn him to pull his head up in time.
The bug? Hey, where's the respect?
He didn't need spider senses to know what would happen next. He'd seen enough action movies. Bad guys in vehicle plus hero on roof equals perforated roof. But Spidey had already flipped around the rear edge of the van's roof like a gymnast on a bar. With the thieves firing upward, he could come right in through the back doors and take them down with a double kick. Except that wasn't the way it happened. He'd grown used to relying on the adhesion of his fingertips rather than a good firm grip, and in the heat of the moment he forgot to override that reflex on account of the rain. All his fingers adhered to was a bunch of water molecules. He tumbled hard onto the rain-slicked pavement. Only his heightened reflexes let him roll out of the way of the oncoming traffic.
Brilliant move, Web for Brains.
He leapt to his feet and over the car roofs in pursuit of the van once more. It was getting harder to see. Not only were his lenses covered in rain, but in these cold, wet conditions, they were starting to fog up on the inside as his breathing grew harder. At an intersection, he landed...